It didn't go live on Twitter. I don't know why.
Twitter's broke, man. We got hacked today. So
That shouldn't affect all of this. This is ridiculous.
tough look.
All right. Well, Twitter's not going to work. That's fine. We're still on YouTube and Facebook. Nobody's watching this anyway. Why would they? It is March 10th, right? No. Yeah, March 10th. Ooh, I put the wrong date on some things earlier. Whoops. Thought it was the 9th. It is March 10th, 2025. March Madness. I like calling it the NCAA tournament. Let's call it the NCAA tournament. I feel like, okay.
That's true, because March Madness is technically Illinois high school basketball. So
no. March Madness is...
They invented it. What do you mean, no?
March Madness is like something that the casuals say. So I'm done saying that. The 2025 NCAA tournament, the bracket will come out this Sunday. It's the final week of the second week of the conference tournaments beginning, and obviously the rest of them will get out of the way this week. Obviously Sunday finish, we always have, SEC early, A10, Big Ten bracket. And that'll be the case this week as well. And if people are gambling money on things, they should put a lot of money on my picks probably, because I'm going to do pretty well this year. I have a good feeling.
That sounds like a terrible advice.
Well, it's their money.
Can you disclaimer that, please?
No, because we're not sponsored by anybody. Do what you want. I mean, okay. If you're dumb enough, then yeah, we'll do headlines. We'll talk about Illinois for a second, and we've already discussed him. Brad is in the middle of us here, in the background. That's Brad, and then Yegor from BYU on the left, and Chase Hunter from Clemson on the right. Illinois finishes the regular season with a win over Purdue. They won 3 straight to finish the year. They're ranked 24th in the AP poll. And the 4 or 5 teams in front of them are teams that they beat: Missouri, Oregon, Purdue, and Michigan. I think are the 4 teams right in front of Illinois. And Illinois beat all 4 of those teams, including beating Michigan by 20 and Oregon by 32. But that doesn't matter because this is not how it lines up. It's just a funny thing that's the last regular season poll. And it looks like that. But we already talked enough about Illinois, and we're doing an Illini basketball podcast right after this. So unless you have a lot to add to Illinois finishing with 3 straight wins, I mean, does it get them to the 6 line? Possibly. I think you still want to win a game in the Big Ten tournament to feel safe, maybe 2. But I find it hard to believe that in an Illini team like this, with the metrics and some of the wins they have, if they're 21-12, if they split Big Ten, if they beat Ohio State or Iowa and then they lose to Maryland, I still think that 21-12 Illinois is going to be a 6 seed. I'd be kind of surprised if they weren't.
Yeah, I think they're 15 in the net right now. So
12-8 in a solid Big Ten as well.
Yeah, I think that. Of course, you want to win one to be comfortable. If they win 2 and they beat Maryland, do they get to a 5? Is that in the realm of possibility or not?
I mean, anything's possible, but I don't think that would get them to a 5.
I can't even share the YouTube link on Twitter. What is going on right now?
We're getting hacked. Elon's Twitter is getting hacked.
I changed it to the countdown to the NCAA tournament on Twitter. So
thank you.
Merez is back. We will talk about that on the next episode after this one. So
yeah, that's enough Illini. All right. On to this. Florida is being viewed as maybe the best team in the country over Auburn and Duke by some. I've been on Florida all year. I really like this team a lot. I think if I were filling out my bracket right now with the thoughts that are in my brain, I would pick Florida to win the national championship. Evan Maya, I don't know if you saw his predictive model simulation, had Florida beating Illinois in the national championship.
Yeah, Illinois beating Duke in the Final Four or in the Elite Eight.
Happen. Yeah, it would definitely happen. Yeah, why not? Why not us?
And then I think beating Santa Clara or St. Mary's.
Santa Clara's not going to make the tournament.
St. Mary's in the Final Four. So,
well,
good stuff.
It's interesting because I think Illinois in Evans in his rankings, I think with his metrics, they're like 26th or something. So they're kind of worse than they are elsewhere. They're 18th on KenPom right now. But Florida is really, really good. And Florida's a team that I think their perimeter combined with how big they are underneath, like this team is, I know their average height is 93rd, and that's kind of because a couple of those guards, Elijah Martin and Walter Clayton aren't giants, but they're both 6'2" or better. And they got a bunch of big guys. I mean, Condon, 6'11", Will Richards, kind of a wing, 6'4", maybe a little bit undersized for what he does. But Thomas Howe is 6'9". They got Ruben Chinyelu, who's a 6'10" sophomore. They're a little young. That concerns me. D1 experience, they're top 65. But when I say they're a little young, it's because Condon, Howe, and Chinyelu are guys that play pretty significant minutes at times, and they're all sophomores. So that's maybe a bit of a concern. But their average height would be higher if they counted that Olivier Roux freshman who's 7'9". If he counted, that would make the average height a little bit better for them. But they do everything well. They're kind of like a lot of SEC teams this year, except they're a different level. I think if you tiered the SEC right now, I think it's totally fair to put Auburn, Alabama, and Florida in the top tier. Like, I don't think Auburn has separated themselves enough from those two to be by themselves. So I still think when every single team in the country is playing their best basketball, I think Duke is the best team. But Florida, to me, is right there.
Yeah, and Florida's been phenomenal. I mean, like, losses at Kentucky, lost to Missouri when Missouri was getting hot, I think. Lost at Tennessee, and then lost at Georgia was probably the biggest blip on their losses. It's one of those. Auburn and
Seems like you're lagging.
I'm talking
you're
about.
lagging.
Am I? Oh man, my internet's going out. Shoot. Do I need to leave?
Maybe leave and rejoin. I don't know. It might help.
You want me to restart my internet?
No, don't do that. That'll take forever.
Feedback issues. Oh boy.
It's fine now.
Yeah, it's not. It didn't go down. Like, how does it
Florida's
say it's
good.
a Wi-Fi issue when it's hardwired in? Like, come on.
Florida's good, no doubt.
Florida's really good. That's kind of what I was saying in that. I was just saying that I don't think there's a dominant team. I think that Auburn, Florida, and Duke could all be beat before the Elite Eight. That's all I was trying to say.
I think, though, by the numbers, and I know it's part of it's their conference, but Duke is the dominant team if there is one. They're 27 or 28-3.
Good point by Finkel. Why would you let me go?
It was not 30 seconds. It was like
go
15.
weird for 30 seconds.
There's nothing I could do. I didn't want to jump in, and it would have been really weird.
You should have said, "Hey, moron, we can't understand you or hear you." But
all you said was Florida's good. Duke is the dominant team, if there is one, though. Top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency, 28-3. Losses are Kansas, Kentucky, and at Clemson, who Clemson is really, to me, like Louisville's fine, but Clemson's the other good team. And I guess Louisville's good. They're whatever. The ACC sucks. Kentucky finished their season with a big road win at Missouri in Columbia, heading into the SEC tournament. Interesting stuff in the SEC to end the year where, Missouri loses 4 of 5 to finish the year. Auburn loses their final 2 games. Alabama goes 3-2 in their final 5 with 2 close losses at Tennessee, and then Florida beat them in Tuscaloosa. Tennessee is a team that is heading into the tournament from February 1st on. Tennessee is 8-1, 8-2, 8-2 in February to now is Tennessee. So that's the SEC. Nebraska missing the Big Ten tournament after losing 5 in a row to end the season. Where are all those Nebraska fans who were talking shit on Twitter to me after Illinois lost to Nebraska, all because I made fun of their quarterback, which didn't even make fun of him. It's just he's weird. And they called me a middle-aged 50-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
Congrats to Nebraska. You're a bunch of losers. You had the support of us at one point, and now it's gone. And I'm sure that's really disappointing for them. But, I don't give a shit that people think that less teams or there should be a couple more teams added to the Big Ten tournament. If you lose 6 of 7 to finish the year, and some of those games are, at home against Minnesota or at home against Iowa, who's not very good, or if you are uncompetitive and give up almost 90 points at Penn State, or if you score 46 points against Michigan, or if you lose on the road in double overtime to Ohio State. Like, they deserve to not be in with the way they finished. And
Yeah.
they weren't that good of a team to begin with. Like, they went 7-13 in the conference. And you look at their wins, they beat an Illinois team that was absolutely stumbling at that point. And that game had no business going to overtime.
Right.
They won at Oregon. Fine.
And
that's
then
a good
their
win.
best player took over that game too. So
Yeah, he was the only guy that did anything.
yeah.
Just Nebraska's not good. They don't deserve to be in the Big Ten tournament. So, sucks to suck is what I'd say to them.
Yeah, if you can't compete for 20 games, don't bitch because 3 teams don't make it. Like, don't finish 0-5, Nebraska.
And don't finish 1-6 if you add a couple more games to that. And don't start 2-1 in the Big Ten and finish 5-12. Like, they lost at home. They have home losses this year to Rutgers, USC, Minnesota, and Iowa. Like, those 4 right there, you got to win. Especially when you get kind of lucky in a way when you had Illinois play against you the way they did, and you ran into a kind of a stumbling UCLA team too in early January.
Yeah,
and a terrible Indiana team in December. So Nebraska fans can go F themselves. I'd love to say the word, but why say it when you don't have to?
Stings to miss out on a 5-way tie at 7-13.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
Don't lose to everybody. They literally lost to everybody too. Like, they lost to all different teams for the most part.
I mean, what do they want? Like an extra play-in game on Monday to see?
That would be interesting.
Play a 3-team game to see who gets in,
or the 2 teams closest play. That would be interesting. Wrapping up the Big East, 3-game win for St. John's in the Big East. They go 18-2. Creighton goes 15-5. UConn 14-6. And I think something that's not talked about enough with the Big East is Marquette was not very good in conference play. 13-7 in the Big East is not elite. I mean, Xavier went 13-7.
Yeah.
So I don't know about Marquette. I have questions, especially since I think the best player in the conference plays at Marquette. I think Cam Jones is the best player in the Big East. So that's an interesting thing to look at. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who's way too talking themselves into UConn. That's me. We'll get to that in a little bit. But St. John's, an impressive year, and impressive that, this team overall in offensive efficiency, they were, I think, 6th, maybe 7th or 8th in the Big East as an offense, not in conference play, but overall. In conference play on offense, they were still 7th. So they did it with defense. They had a couple games where they didn't shoot the ball well. I mean, you look at that second UConn game, they scored 89 points. There's some other games where you'd like to see them shoot the ball a little bit better. I think they're going to be very matchup dependent in the NCAA tournament. But it's going to be nice to see a St. John's team, because St. John's, really, the relevance hasn't been there for a long time.
Right.
And with a guy like Pitino on the sideline, that I'm very much looking forward to seeing them in a national stage in a big spot. And we'll see how they respond to that. This is a good team, but I'm gonna be a little bit cautionary about how I approach them in the big dance, as they call it.
Is Rick Pitino the best effing coach in college basketball right now?
No.
Really?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
He's up there. I mean,
I mean, it'd be hard to argue with the longevity and what he's done at multiple places.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a legitimate argument for him to not win Coach of the Year, but I think he will and probably should. But there's other guys that I would also throw in the mix. I know the ACC was weak, but for Pat Kelsey to go in there 25-6, and also
very impressive. Yeah,
I know that Drake is in the Missouri Valley, but Ben McCollum, that entire roster was gone. He brought in his D2 guys, four of his starters from his D2 team, where he won, I think, 4 national titles, and then a bunch of other guys, and they went 27-3, and they went, I think, 17-1 in the MVC. So, yeah, Pitino's good. He does a good job. I mean, Hurley is still probably the best coach in the country to me, but that's just because I'm not going to change the rankings every year like that. He's won the last 2 national championships. He hasn't lost tournament games since 2023. So, when he loses one, then we can have the conversation probably.
Finkel, it's statistically easier to make a free throw granny style. So I don't know why you're complaining about Wofford's 31% free throw shooter. All right.
Absolutely. I just want to throw this out there. Do not put North Carolina in the NCAA tournament. This team has absolutely no business being in the tournament. Just none.
They're getting in, though, right?
I mean, please, dear God, no. Let me see something here. I got a couple things with bracketology, but I can't imagine any reason why they should be in. I mean, they're like 30-1 to win the ACC tournament. This is just not a good team. 13-7 in this ACC is like, to me, it's basically like going 10-10. Actually, it's like going what Nebraska. It's flip it. It's basically Nebraska. I think Nebraska could beat North Carolina. I'll throw that out there.
I mean, the ACC is going to be Duke, Clemson, and Louisville, and that's it.
It should be, yeah. I think it is right now going into the conference tournaments. Now, if North Carolina wins one, then you might have some trouble.
Sorry,
But you need a mute button. Press the
I
M.
tried to
hotkey it. We should hotkey that.
It's Control D. That's harder to hit than just clicking the button. But I apologize. It snuck up on me a little quick. For
Nothing we could do. It wasn't that loud. It's fine.
For the 12 people listening, I'm really sorry.
Ooh, actually, it's
10. What's Duke or what's North Carolina in the net? Did I ask that already? Or Ken Palm. I don't know which one you paid for Ken Palm, so I'm sure you're looking it up on that.
Pay for Evan Maya as well.
Jeez, no wonder we don't have any money for the Illini basketball podcast.
I only paid for that for one month. It was $5. I just want to have my other, extra numbers to look at. In the net, North Carolina's 37th on Ken Palm. By the way, in the net they are 40th. And here's the problem: like they're 1-11 against Quad 1, and they have one Q3 loss. Like they're just without this being North Carolina. Like, come on, this is just not a basketball team that's earned anything. They haven't earned anything. They have one Q1 win, which I gotta find what that was. I'm assuming it was UCLA neutral site. Is there one Q1? And here are the rankings of the teams North Carolina's beaten this year on Ken Palm. 201, 248, 224, 74, 97, 231. UCLA was 25, 221, 93, 52, 124, 113, 183, 59, 112, 124, 103, 87, 192, 155. They've beaten one top 50 team on Ken Palm. And I think maybe 5 of their 20 wins, quote unquote, are against the top 100. It's just, they're not good at all. Like, I think every team in the field could beat this team. Like every, at-large bid team could beat this team. So I hope they don't get in. I don't think they have any business being in. Let's see. Whoa, who was that? Who?
Any dark horses to make the Final Four? Do you want to talk about that now or later?
Right now.
Okay.
Questions now. We got to talk about it now. Let me see.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things you got to see matchups and stuff too. That's hard to predict right now.
Yeah, but then if we can assume things.
Okay.
I'll throw BYU out there. Offensively,
okay.
They shoot the ball well, 37% from 3. They got Yegor, who's a potential lottery guy and at least a lottery talent guy. And they are hot right now. They were 15-8, and they won 8 in a row to end the season. I'll throw BYU out there. I would also throw – I think – I'm not going to say they're a dark horse because it's UConn, but, I think UConn with the right circumstances could get back.
Especially if they end up on, the 8-9 line. I mean,
yeah.
I would assume that they would be put in that situation. So,
and I think Hurley and his staff are guys who thrive when they're playing different matchups, with the way they prepare in the tournament. I just think that the Big East is not something that they do as well at, which is maybe why they went 14-6 in the Big East as opposed to 18-2. Because when your team's not as good as just rolling the ball out there and winning like they were last year, it's a little bit different. But I would throw them out there. UC San Diego's not in the field yet, but obviously, they're in the mix. I mean, that team could certainly get to the Final Four. Absolutely. Never been more sure of something in my life.
Okay.
And I'll give you one more. This is a big one. I will throw
anybody from the Big Ten. You would put it there.
I would, if I was to pick anybody in the Big Ten to be a dark horse team, where they're like, "Oh, this team could get to the Final Four," maybe they won't. I will say the Wisconsin Badgers simply because I think if they shoot the ball well in the tournament,
Yeah.
I mean, them and Illinois are two teams that if they're making threes, it's going to be hard to beat. Illinois has a ridiculous record when they shoot 27% or better from three. So that's them. And then Wisconsin, obviously, didn't finish the year very strong, 2-3 in their final 5, but they had 2 games in a row where they went into Mackey, scored 94, and then beat Illinois, scored 95. So they're capable of scoring a lot.
Yep.
So I would throw, Wisconsin, UConn, if that counts, BYU, and UC San Diego, who if it comes down, if UC Irvine beats UC San Diego in the Big West Championship and North Carolina gets in over UC San Diego, I will not watch the tournament.
What are your thoughts on Drake being 28-3 or whatever, and it's not even ranked by the AP? Like,
yeah, it's kind of messed up.
I know the AP sucks and whatever, but like, come on. Well, like, what are we doing? Like,
Drake's
watch
30-3.
30-3. Yeah, watch a college basketball game. Like,
Yeah, they are elite on the glass.
Absolutely insane.
Also, like, I get that the conference is what it is, but McCollum went 17-3, 30-3 overall with non-D1 guys. They are 358th in the country in D1 experience because 4 of their starters are D2 guys.
D2 guys, yeah, that's great.
And the guy's just a winner. Like, I think anywhere he goes, he's just going to win. Like, in non-conference play, it's not like they didn't beat power conference teams. They weren't very strong power conference team, but Vanderbilt's probably going to be in the tournament, right? They beat them by 11. They beat Kansas State in a semi-away game. So, I don't know. I know Kansas State sucks, but it's just annoying. Like, why are we even bothering putting some of the teams in the AP pool that are in there? Like, there's no point in even attempting to make these teams – oh, they got a number next to their name. They're so good.
I heard your boy Rothstein moved Michigan up a spot this week. Moved them up a spot.
I mean, sometimes it shakes out that way,
Yeah, definitely shakes some way.
Why is Marquette ranked? Like, Marquette, I would have dropped Marquette and thrown Drake in. Drake was the one that received the most votes. Is not in. Do you take Illinois out and put Drake in?
I'm okay with that. I'd rather Illinois never be ranked again because who cares?
Yeah, it matters more for Drake. All right.
You had something up there. Omaha, something.
SIUE, Omaha, High Point, Drake, Lipscomb are automatic bid so far. And it looks like
you can't put that up there. It's the last bullet point on my doc here. I wasn't prepared for this.
I switched it around on my end. So Wofford is up 5 with 11 seconds left, so they're going to join the list. And Troy is up 8 with 2:46 to go. So it looks like those two will be in. Disappointing for Brian Hodgson and Arkansas State. I think that's a really good basketball team. Had some ups and downs in Sun Belt play, but you win that battle between us. I was going to pick Arkansas State literally no matter what because I like them.
Okay.
So maybe that's on me, but it looks like Troy's going to win that. So those two will join the list. But SIUE, first time ever making the NCAA tournament.
Go Salukis. No, they're not the
Salukis. Nope. Cougars.
Go Cougs.
That was kind of messed up that you messed that up.
No, I honestly didn't know what SIUE's mascot was.
Whoa.
I only went to Edwardsville to hang out with my friends. We didn't go to sporting events because they sucked at everything. So
well, now they don't. They beat SEMO by 21 in the conference championship. I had SEMO winning this, so the fact that they were able to get it done. And look, this is a team that we saw early in the year when they played Illinois in November, and they lost by 32. But I feel like they did put forth something to where you're like, okay. I mean, they were only down 10 in the first 10 minutes. You know, the first 10 minutes of the second half, it was a tie game between the two of them in terms of the second half scoring, and Illinois won the final 10 by 14. But I don't think they're an overly impressive basketball team, but they're from the OVC, so they're not supposed to be. But
right.
winning your conference, that's big time. I mean, Brian Barone's been grinding there. They've had some really, really not good teams. His first year, they went 8-23. They didn't really figure it out until 2023. They should have.
How long they've been D1? 6 years now?
16, yeah.
16 years they've been D1? Okay.
2009, yeah.
All right. I mean, they weren't D1 when I was in college, so. Shout out to my high school coach on the SIUE staff. I thought that was a cool story. They hung scissors up in the office and said one day we're going to be able to use those.
This is the first year they switched to SIUE, right? Wasn't it just SIU Edwardsville in athletics?
Maybe.
Because Ken Palm has the first 5 seasons of Barone listed as SIUE Edwardsville or SIU Edwardsville. Now it says SIUE.
Yeah. That's probably right, but I don't know why that matters about anything. So
I'm just saying it's zippier. Maybe that's why they made the tournament. They've gone up 105 spots. Actually, they've gone up 100 spots on Ken Palm since they lost to Indiana and Illinois. They went from 316, now they're 216. And they're probably going to be a 16 seed that plays a 1 seed
play-in game.
But I think they're better than that. I think.
Okay.
But it'll be close. It'll be close. It depends on who wins the other lower level.
Imagine they beat Auburn.
Well, that would be hilarious. So I think whoever wins the neck is probably a play-in team. Although Central Connecticut, if it's Central Connecticut, they won't be in the play-in. But if Central Connecticut loses to St. Francis will be a first 4 team. Whoever wins the SWAC, Southern or Bethune-Cookman, or whoever wins that one, that'll be another first 4 team. And then the OVC is a bad enough conference where it could be, but also the MEAC. If Norfolk State wins the MEAC, they could be a play-in team. So basically what SIUE needs is for the really bad teams or the very middle of the road teams in the bad.
They need some bubble poppers to win, basically.
They need some teams worse than – they need like the 4th or 5th ranked team in the other bad conferences to win.
Yeah, I got you.
Because the only lock for the play-in right now has got to be SWAC.
Check it out. Says any other degenerates bet High Point to make the Final Four. I think that's what he was looking for when he asked about dark horses.
I give you UC San Diego. That's
UC San Diego or McNeese, which is the better underdog.
UC San Diego. Thank you. I'll die for that team. I think I love High Point. Like offensively, they are as good as a mid-major team as I've seen in a while. I mean, I think they have a top 30 offense, but I kind of struggle to trust them when I see stuff like yesterday. Like you can recover against Winthrop in the conference championship game, where you can they didn't show enough in the semifinal or the final of the Big South for me to be like, this team could definitely go far. They haven't played anybody all year. I understand that. To only win the semifinal and the final by a combined 5 points when you're supposed to be this elite high-level offense concerns me a little bit. And they have some losses this year where you're like, how the hell they lose to that team, like Missouri State? Check it out. It says already had UC San Diego, which I had UC San Diego, so I was right there. BYU and UConn.
I was just check it out. Sounds like a ball knower. All right. That's
why don't you add? Why doesn't he add? Who else? Who's my 4th one? UConn. Oh, he's got that. What was my 4th one? I had a good one.
I don't know.
Wisconsin? Did I give you Wisconsin?
Yeah, I have them in the final. Because I said something about the Big Ten. Sure, that sounds right.
Well, I was going to give away the team that I picked to win the Big Ten tournament, but I didn't want to have anybody, think about that. Everybody like, that's probably who we picked for the Big Ten tournament. All right, so shout out to SIUE. We did like 20 minutes on them just now.
We did. Good for them.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, if you're from our area, you had a lot of friends that went to SIUE and maybe played baseball down there and stuff like that. So shout out to those people.
That's oddly specific. All right.
It's not oddly specific. It's just the point that I had friends that played baseball down there. Well, that's before it was D1, so maybe they weren't good enough for D1 ball. I don't. Sorry to you guys.
Yeah, it sucks.
Now they hate me. Good job, Ethan. Thanks.
We've already strolled around the block of the net and the metrics, but I do want to say a couple things about the net. The top 5 of the net right now is very predictable. I think if I asked you right now who the top 5 teams of the net are, I think you can get all 5. Maybe you have one where they're not in, but the 5 are obvious.
Yeah, Duke, Auburn, Florida, Alabama.
Nope. Bama's 6th. Another SEC team in front of them, and then another very obvious team that just wins a ton of games every year. There's only one other SEC team that could be there.
Yeah, but I
obviously.
can't.
I mean,
Tennessee,
Rick Barnes is their head coach. Yeah,
Tennessee,
Tennessee's 5th.
and then
So
what's
the
the
next one
other
is
conference?
the other one's 3rd, and they may or may not play in the same conference as schools that are assistant coached by Norm Roberts.
that is oddly specific. That I don't even know what that means. So
The top assistant for a team in the same conference as this team is Norm Roberts.
I don't know who Norm Roberts is.
He coaches with a guy that I think he was actually
how would I know
staff.
that?
He was on staff at Illinois in the early 2000s. So that should kind of give away the conference and the team.
Kansas,
Houston.
Thank you.
I feel like that hint was pretty good.
But I don't know who Norm Roberts is. Like that is so like I don't just look at teams' Wikipedia.
Jerome Tang was a
coaches.
former assistant of I was gonna say Scott Drew's top assistant as well, but I don't know who that is because
you could have just said that piece of shit that screwed over Illinois all the time, like that.
I don't know if that's fair. All right, what else in the net? Illinois, by the way, is ahead of the Big East regular season champion in the net. So do with that information what you will.
Hey, we're live on Twitter, by the way. Go share it.
Is it actually live? Oh. Arizona 13th in the net. That's a little surprising, but they have a pretty good resume. No bad losses. Illinois, by the way, has a record of 0-0 in Q3.
Yeah,
which crazy. I think they're the only team. How many teams in the country have not played a Q3 game? I wonder.
That can't be very many.
Well, the answer is 1, and that's Illinois.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So Florida A&M, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Mississippi Valley State, which are 3 of the worst teams in the country, have all played 1 as well. Okay. So Illinois plays 0. So there you go. Pretty sweet. Mississippi Valley continues to just be that team where it's like, oh, they probably won 0 games this year. They went 1-28, so they are that team. I feel like there's D2 teams that should probably find a way to get D1 status as opposed to Mississippi.
Well, they got to wait
Valley.
7 years now, so it doesn't even matter.
Mississippi Valley State has been D1 since 97. I feel like you should get relegated if you're going to be, a team that – I mean, they are literally – 4-58 in the last 2 years, and 2-34 in a terrible conference, the worst conference in the country. So it's impressive. I'd love to see them play more games one day. All right, let's do conference tournaments starting this week and picks. Let's start in the American Athletic Conference, where
Memphis,
a lot of teams in there, right?
It's really good. I'm going with UAB.
UAB, wow, okay. Yikes.
What do you mean, yikes?
No, they're fine. They just don't guard at all.
It's conference tournament time, man. There's going to be upsets.
Last year in the AAC, I believe UAB won it because Temple picked off FAU or something. So UAB did win it last year. The year before, I believe it was Memphis beating Houston. So I'm going to say Memphis gets it done since the conference, they're really the only threats to them, I think, unless something weird happens like last year or North Texas and UAB. But I'm going to take Memphis. I think they're the most talented team. I think their perimeter is going to turn it on in March.
Zero chance I was picking Dane Danger. So.
All right. Bigger hater than me. Let's go to the A10, the Atlantic 10 Conference.
I believe I picked them to pick the regular season. They did not do that. I'm picking them to win the tournament. I'm going with Dayton, the Flyers, out of Ohio.
Well, the first thing that I wrote on my sheet here is I don't trust Dayton at all, and I'm taking VCU.
Wow, good. Hey, good pick. Way to pick the number 1 team. Good.
They were tied with George Mason in record.
Sure.
And another reason that I'm taking them is George Mason's offense is not good, and I don't like that. VCU won 15 of 16 games before getting that one loss out of the way, which was to Dayton to end the season. So I'm glad they lost that game. The Big West, let's do about 55 minutes on this. Go ahead.
Yeah. There's no way as an Illinois fan I want to play UC San Diego. So I picked UC Irvine to win this.
And UC San Diego will still get in.
And that's fine, but you go ahead and do your thing. I'm gonna go make another drink.
I am taking the UC San Diego Tritons in their 5th season as a D1 basketball program. They finished the year winning 13 straight. They've won. They beat UC Irvine by 18 on February 8th. Both of those teams are phenomenal. UC San Diego, to me, is the best mid-major team. I just think if you watch them play, maybe not best mid-major. I guess you could also look at, if we take the West Coast Conference out of this discussion, take the St. Mary's and Gonzaga out of the discussion. It's UC San Diego's really good. New Mexico's in the mix. VCU's in the mix. But UC San Diego is an excellent basketball team. I'm picking them to win it. I would advocate for them to get an at-large bid. I don't give a shit about some of the stuff in the resume where people are like, oh, they don't have elite wins. Okay. UC San Diego's metrics and their record and a lot of other things about them hold up over North Carolina. So that's why I would put them in over them, even if they don't win this. But the good thing for the Big West structure is that both of these teams just need to win 2 games to get an automatic bid, unless I'm misremembering what their bracket looks like. I'll look real quick here.
Break out the binder.
Well, these are folders before the NCAA tournament's the binders, of course.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so they're both not going to play till Friday. They're both already in the semifinals. So that's great. Hopefully it's one of those 2 teams, but obviously I want it to be UC San Diego. They're really good. So we'll talk more about them maybe in the line, I think, because people are saying things about them and how they want to play them, morons. Conference USA.
Liberty Bibberty.
Yep, I'm taking Liberty as well. Everything that lines up with their best teams is the same this year. So I think they get it done. I don't think there's a huge challenger. Like maybe you say that Kennesaw State can guard, so maybe they'll defend teams and win, but I'm not buying it. Yeah, they beat them in the road, but that was a long time ago. I just said UC San Diego beat them by 18 last time they played. They smoked them. So nice try. Check it out. If that's even your real name. All right. Ivy League.
Yale is the best team in the Ivy League.
Yeah, it's a 14.
Not even close,
14
right?
tournament. Yeah. Something weird always happens, but I think Yale is good enough.
Yeah.
I will say Cornell Yale would be a very interesting tournament championship because Cornell isn't known for their defensive prowess per se, but I think they could score with Yale. So if Cornell has a game where they're hot, this team's top 30 in 3-point shooting. They're second in the country in 2-point percentage. They are the most efficient offense from an effective field goal percentage perspective, and they run the floor. So if they can make a game where defense doesn't matter, maybe they win it. But I will say the 2 games that they played against Yale this year, they lost 103-88 and 92-88. So you just need to score the same amount of points, 88, and hope Yale misses more shots. So that'll be an interesting one there, but Yale probably gets it done. I'll pick Yale as well. The MAC.
I am taking the Flying John Grosses of Akron.
Yeah, I'm taking Akron as well. I think the best team in the conference, 17-1 in conference play. That one loss was to Ohio on February 22nd, the other place he's coached before. Yeah, their offense is good. They've scored 80-plus in a ton of games this year. So I'll take Akron, the Zips, as they're known. The MAAC.
Marist.
Wow, that is yikes.
What do you mean?
About that.
Okay.
The second least efficient offense in the conference belongs to Marist. But anyway, I'm going to take Joe Gallo and Merrimack, who are in their 6th season of D1 basketball. I think they can get it done. This is an offense that struggles, but I think there's a lot of bad offenses in this conference that, weirdly enough.
Holy cow, Marist has lost 4 in a row. I take it back. I'm not picking them. Holy
you
cow.
gotta stick with it, unfortunately. Merrimack is a team that's terrible in the glass, which is concerning. But I think that they're finally going to get in there. They've been better in the past too. Like last year, they were better than this. So maybe not better, but they were really good last year too. They won 21 games last year. So I think they get it done. This is their first year in the MAAC, by the way. I believe they were in the Northeast Conference before this. So I'm going to take Merrimack.
I feel like Check It Out should be doing this with you instead of me. Like he's talking about Manhattan and stuff.
That's probably true. MEAC.
Norfolk State.
It's always Norfolk State. We always see them in Dayton, Ohio for the first four. But you know what, folks? I am going to go a different direction.
Okay.
I'm going to take South Carolina State, who is 18-12. They beat Norfolk State, and the time they lost Norfolk State was in overtime. They have won 9 in a row going into the conference tournament, and they are number 1 in the conference in defensive efficiency and conference play. Give me South Carolina State. We need some change for a team that comes out of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and I think that is South Carolina State is that change. The MWC, the Mountain West.
Can you say hi to Tim real quick?
Yes, with the Kevin McHale profile picture. Yes.
What are we on?
Mountain West.
I'm going with the other Patino in New Mexico.
Yeah, I feel like I get caught up in just like I would literally pick nobody else to win this one. So I'm going to take New Mexico as well. I really like them, though. I think this is going to be an elite tournament to watch, as it traditionally is. But, you just look at there are 5 teams in this conference that are 14-6 or better in conference play. And one of the teams that struggled in conference play is a team like Nevada could easily swoop in and win this tournament. Like, they had a very disappointing year, 8-12. But I still look at them as, they lost 5 of 6, but they find something. They still have the talent and, the capability to potentially win this conference tournament. They're the wild card in this one, but I'm taking New Mexico. They have Donovan Denny at 33 points in the second to last game of the season against Nevada. And Nelly Jr. Joseph finished the final game of the regular season for him. He had 26, 16, and 4. So those two are studs, and I think they'll carry New Mexico over the finish line. New Mexico, the best, I guess the second best non-power conference team. Actually, I guess the best non-power conference team, even though I would argue the Mountain West is almost as good as the ACC. If you take away Duke, it's probably just as good, maybe better. So the SWAC, the SWAC, as some would call it, the worst conference in America, by the way.
Yeah, I went a little bit away from the top here. I'm going with Texas Southern.
Texas Southern is another team it's always Texas Southern or Southern. So, and Jackson State, I think, made it once. But I'm going to go off the board again here in terms of teams recently that have made it. And I'm going to take Bethune-Cookman, who finished 3rd in the conference at 13-5. This conference is full of some of the worst offensive efficiency numbers you'll ever see. Trey Thomas is the best player in the conference, plays for Bethune-Cookman. And they went from 7-13 to 15-15. After they lost to Alcorn State on what's the date? January 27th. Anyway, let's go to the WAC. The Western Athletic Conference.
Utah Valley.
Utah Valley had the best season, but Grand Canyon has the 2 best players in the conference in terms of a duo. And I think that is why I will take them. Although, okay, now that I'm seeing, I forgot that Tyon Grant Foster has been out for 5 games in a row. So maybe I don't take them, but I'm going to go with it anyway. They went 4-1 without him. GCU, I think Bryce Drew's a good enough coach. Give me GCU to rally.
Why we've been live, Troy and Wofford have punched their tickets. I don't know if we said that, but I'm just letting you guys know.
And Robert Morris is heading to the Horizon League final. They beat Oakland by 3 in overtime.
Nice.
And UNCW leads Charleston 20-16 in the first 11 minutes.
You got a long ways to go to get to 140.
Same yesterday. It was the same yesterday. You just got to start making some shots.
Like his last 3 have been like this. Like
Charleston has missed 6 shots in a row, so we'll get it going. I do worry that these 2 teams played last year in the conference championship, and it was 63-58. But Pat Kelsey's gone. It's different Charleston. So let's make a 3 here, Charleston. Bang, there we go. 20-19. All right. Let's preview a little bit. Let's do a little bit more in-depth on the power conference tournaments.
Okay.
The ACC, we can be quick with that one.
Duke.
Yeah, I'm taking Duke as well, but I mean, elsewhere, you got – so Duke's path is probably going to be, if I had to guess, I would say Georgia Tech beats Virginia because Virginia is such a fraud. I think Then they play maybe North Carolina gets there, and it's Duke North Carolina semifinal, and then Duke Louisville final. That would be exciting, I guess. But I think it's going to be Duke no matter what. It's just it's the way it's got to be. Big East tournament, which by the way begins on Wednesday night. Wednesday afternoon. There's 3 games, and then Thursday is a huge. Thursday is maybe my favorite day for at least the Big East tournament, but probably for all the tournaments, because Thursday you
I
have
would agree. Yeah.
4 big-time Big East games. It all starts with 11 a.m. Central on Peacock is St. John's game, so that'll be really fun. But the top 4 seeds in this conference, or the top 5 seeds, because those are the teams that end up in the quarterfinals. That's St. John's, Creighton, UConn, Xavier, Marquette. Who are you taking to the Big East?
Surprising to most, and then probably especially you, I'm going to go with UConn.
Well, I have news for you. I'm going with UConn as well. I think they beat Villanova. I think they beat Creighton. And I think Marquette wakes up and gets to the championship game.
I was between Marquette and UConn. I don't think Pitino cares about this.
Nor should he.
He won the regular season. He'd rather probably have rest than win this tournament. I don't think Pitino's going to give 2 shits if they win or they lose in this thing. So,
although this being a Saturday finish, you would have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even Thursday as well. So
correct.
It's really like 2 days of rest difference. It depends on what he thinks of that. But yeah, they're also like a physical, defensively oriented team. So you would like to rest with that.
Yeah.
And maybe figure out how to make some threes while you're resting. So you make threes in the tournament. But I'm going to take UConn. I just think UConn's going to wake up. I think we'll go into the tournament thinking, hey, UConn's going to get to the Sweet 16. They probably won't. But I think they're going to make people feel things in the Big East tournament. All right, let's do the Big 12. The Big 12 this year is really headlined by Houston, and then you kind of look elsewhere and you're like, wow, this conference kind of sucks this year. But I think there's more to it than that. The top 4 seeds are very interesting. Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona, BYU rallied. I mean, the way they finished here, they end up as the 4 seed. Yeah. West Virginia is an 8 seed. That's a team that I could see giving Houston a run if they play. Kansas is a 6 seed. Is weird to see Kansas and Baylor being 6 and 7. And Iowa State, the way that they were earlier in the year, them being 5th, is weird. I'm going to take the number 1 seed in this, though. I think Houston, this is just what they do. They just win a ton of games every year. And I think that they'll win this because I think their draw is pretty easy. I mean, BYU's good, but I don't think BYU can match what Houston does to teams. And then at that point, if you play Arizona or Texas Tech, I think they'll beat any of those teams. So I'm going to go Houston.
I'm going to go with Texas Tech. I really like this Texas Tech team. They beat Houston once already without Toppin, and then I think they were shorthanded when they lost to Houston. So, I really like this Texas Tech team.
All right, Big Ten. We're going to preview the Big Ten tournament in full on the Illini Basketball Podcast. We will not do anything
in about 7 minutes.
Yeah, maybe.
So.
7 hours, possibly. Should we give our winners for this? I guess we should.
I mean, yeah, who cares?
Right.
Maryland.
I'm going to take a team that is located in the northeastern part of the United States. They have a bald head coach. They wear red. They also have black and white in their colors as well. And a lot of people think, wow, he's going to take Rutgers. No, I'm not. I'm taking Maryland as well. So there you go. Give me the Terps.
Yeah.
Get it done. I was going to switch to Rutgers at the last second, but I'm not going to do that.
They may be different in 7 minutes when we're on the Illinois.
Maybe.
One, so here we
go. SEC. I'm taking a team that I think similar. The SEC approach and the Big 12 approach to me was the same. I think there's a team that I look at and like, this is just a team that's going to get there and probably win it. I'm going to take Tennessee.
Okay. I'm going to take Alabama. I think Alabama's been playing really good basketball. Sears has been good. I love this Alabama team. I'm probably more than I probably should, but so I'm going with.
I think one of the interesting parts of the SEC is like I usually root for bid stealing, but I want the 4 best teams in the SEC to be there.
Yeah.
I want
'cause
Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, and Florida.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Kentucky or Missouri or Texas A&M or any of those frauds.
Somebody sneak in there. Yeah. I completely agree with that.
I need to see
because if you ask Jay Billis, it's harder to win the SEC tournament than it is to win a national championship. So.
Absolutely. And he would know, he won 2 of them. All right. Let me see some bracketology stuff from Blogging the Bracket. This is, I think, a fan-sided thing or whatever they call themselves now.
Okay.
They have in the South region some notable stuff. They have Auburn as the 1, Michigan State is the 2, Texas A&M is the 3, Louisville is the 4, Michigan is the 5, 6 seed is Arizona, 7 is Missouri, 8 Kansas, 9 Gonzaga, which is crazy that could be a first-round matchup. Baylor is the 10. This is a conference where you're like, whoa, there's a lot of basketball schools in this conference potentially because you have Auburn is good at basketball now. They went to the Final Four 6 years ago. Baylor won a national championship a few years ago. Arizona is a basketball school. Kansas and Gonzaga and Indiana also in this region. So this is the name region. If this happens, Michigan State, I didn't even mention either. They're also in this. So that would be interesting. And then you look at some of the matchups, like McNeese could absolutely beat Michigan if they play in a 5-12. That's an interesting matchup there. I think Umar Ballo going up against Arizona would be an interesting 6-11 matchup. And then Baylor, Missouri would be interesting too because like Missouri's better, but the people say, hey, it's Baylor. They're going to win. Baylor's a lottery pick freshman. Is Baylor going to turn it on? I'm really disappointed with the direction of Baylor recently. Like I think they should be where Houston is every year. Like it's disappointing that they're not there. Dana
Altman's too busy aligning Rubik's Cubes or something.
Well, he's not the coach of Baylor, but you tried your best, huh?
I don't know. Why are we still here? It's 52 minutes in.
Almost done. Hang on. This is a region of interest to you people. They have Illinois as an 8 seed playing Georgia.
You people, you can't say that.
I'm talking about Illini fans.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Illinois will play Duke in the second round, according to this.
There's no way Illinois is an 8 seed.
Yeah, this is bullshit.
This site's trash. Can we find a new one?
We'll find a new one on the Illini Basketball Podcast.
Okay, great.
Their first 4 out are Boise State, Texas, North Carolina, Wake Forest.
Good stuff.
A lot of good stuff in there, though. I also printed this out, which is another bracket thing. This is like the 3rd best bracketologist.
Isn't there like a bracket matrix that puts them all together?
Yeah, but this specific one has Illinois as a 7, so I found that interesting. Illinois going up against Sincere Harris and Amani Hansberry, by the way.
That I would love that.
We'd kill them.
We would. That's why I would love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do the Illini Basketball Podcast in a few minutes, and this show will be back. Be prepared for next Monday to be a 4-hour program.
I was going to say 2, and it sounds like a long time. And you just go out and throw 4?
We could do it Sunday night instead of Monday.
No. I mean, are we going to do did we do that last year or did we do another one on Monday?
I think we did another one on Monday, which I think is the right thing to do because we probably will go live for the selection show. And we won't be able to do next Monday until like 6 o'clock. So it's going to be 4 hours.
You got to get a new job.
No, it's a good job. It's a good job.
All right. We'll be back in probably 5 minutes with Illini Basketball Podcast.
Yep. Let me turn this off. Hang on. Stay on the channel. We'll be back.